Hey everyone, welcome to the weekend edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. This is the live broadcast for Saturday, the 3rd of June, 2023. Joining me this weekend, we have on my right the man, Rick Ector. Mr. Ector, but he hates it when I call him that.
Man, look, Rick. Rick works for me. It's Rick. Please. R-I-C-K. Rick.
Rick Ector out of Detroit. He is, of course, the guy behind Legally Armed in Detroit. And we'll be talking about his training weekend here coming up the end of July. We'll be talking about that in just a little bit. Below Rick is Tony Simon. Tony, of course, is diversityshoot.com. And he all things related with that. And then below me, Dan Wos. He's of course the author of Good Gun Bad Guy, and I happen to have right here. This is book 2 of the Good Gun Bad Guy series. I personally have read them. I'm going to endorse them. Gentlemen, thank you all for coming along for the show today, man.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right,
wait. I wasn't aware that this was formal. I didn't wear a shirt and a tie. I mean,
well,
I'm a little underdressed.
I just got home. My daughter-in-law's funeral was today.
Oh man!
And I just got home.
Open mouth, insert foot. Man. You know what? I am so sorry to hear that you're coming from a funeral, man.
It's part of life, dude. That we none of us get out of here alive. Death is part of the deal, and so it happens. And I taken off so many of these that I didn't want to take off the weekend show. Let's go ahead and get started real quick. Rick, I do want to start with you, and we've talked about, I have you on from time to time, but I always have you on about this time of year simply because I want to talk about your women's training weekend, and this year it's coming up the end of July. You want to tell us a little bit about that weekend, and you're looking for RSOs and instructors to help you out, right?
Absolutely. This is the 12th annual year for my free women's shooting event. It's an event that single-handedly, from a professional standpoint, is the thing that gives me truly the greatest amount of honor to do every year. I do a free women's shooting event. And what I do is I amass and assemble and group together as many women I can find who have an interest in learning more about firearms and their role in personal protection. Our objective is to give them a pretty decent range safety briefing, and we patch them up one-on-one with a firearms instructor, have them shoot approximately 20 rounds at a target, at standard self-defense distance. This program was initiated by me in conjunction with 5 other instructors after we witnessed news story 12 years ago of a woman's naked, dead body, literally thrown away in a garbage dump, man. And eventually, this idea was born that we wanted to provide free firearms training, albeit on an introductory level, to any woman who has a desire to explore it and try it. And, we started out first year, 50, and we continue to grow it. And one of the things that I'm truly honored is that I have an increasingly growing number of friends in the Second Amendment community, 2 of which are on this broadcast, of which have pledged to come to Detroit, not Detroit, Detroit, the end of the month on the 29th and the 30th of July to help me put this thing on, man. And you know what? How about getting Dan on the bandwagon and getting Dan to show up? Dan, are you a trainer, by the way?
Well, no, I'm not. But if you have DQ in Detroit, I'll be there.
We have DQ in Detroit. Detroit.
Is that somewhat like the people down in Kentucky? They call it Louisville, And when anybody calls it Louisville, they go nuts. It's not Louisville, it's Louisville.
That's like when I went to Versailles, Tennessee, man. Right? You know how you spell it, Versailles? And all the people in town, they call it Versailles. So you just can't win. You just have to do what the local people say, man.
There you go.
Okay, everybody's throwing one out there. How's this one? It's Beaufort, South Carolina, but it's Beaufort, North Carolina, and they're across a bridge from each other. Same spelling. Welcome to it.
Well, I mean, if you had two towns so close together pronounced the same way, well, that would just be confusing, wouldn't it?
I guess. Maybe change the name of one of them. I don't know who Beaufort or Beaufort are, but must have did something pretty important on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina.
Right. So, you know what? Again, thanks for the opportunity to be on the show, man. And I get to chime in with my personal opinion on some of the news stories that's transpiring over the last few hours to the last day or so. But yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to plug this free women's shooting event and to get interested firearms trainers and range safety officers to come to Detroit to help me train, man. Our goal is.
I'm just wondering when Rick is going to come out of his shell.
Look, most of you have seen me at some point in time. Here's the thing. No one has ever accused me of being shy. I may have been a shy child, but the adult that is currently 55 years of age, there isn't a shy bone in me, man.
What I want to say, the first year I was able to help with this was last year. I was able to make the run to Detroit.
There you go.
And help out last year. And I had an absolute blast on Saturday helping ladies to learn and just loved the hell out of it and made a promise that I would be returning every year. And both Susan and I are going to be coming this year to help out. Absolutely looking forward to it. If you are a trainer and you have the ability to get to Detroit the last week of July, I highly encourage you to do that. We can always use your help, and look, you're in a great number of the cases. These ladies are taking the very first shots they've ever taken in their life, and you're helping them learn. It's it's worth it. Just the trip is worth it just for that. So let me go look
and I
here.
guess I should tell people how to find the group. I have an organizing group on Facebook, and it's entitled 2023 Organizing Team for Ladies Shoot. 2023 Organizing Team for Ladies Shoot. Go to that group on Facebook, and I'll look at your picture and like your page, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like a firearms instructor.
So you're going to become their stalker, is what you're saying?
Pretty much. I'm making sure that you have at least some type of assorted related paraphernalia in the background of one of your pictures somewhere. The thing about gun rights advocates and gun owners, there's usually a reference in a picture somewhere within the first 20 photos that gives it away. That you're straight up.
Yeah, and
pictures now on Facebook. I bet you'll see a gun or something gun-related somewhere in the first 20 pictures. I guarantee you.
Well, if you're like me, I'd say 1 out of 3 friend requests you get is a 20-something widow that is really stacked and almost wearing clothes. So, let's go ahead and get to news, guys. First story up, the pistol brace ban. I'm going to read just a little bit out of a midweek press release that came out from the SAF. A federal judge has clarified the scope of an injunction in a Second Amendment Foundation challenge to the Biden administration's new arm brace rule. The case is known as SAF versus ATF. SAF is joined in the case by Rainier Arms and 2 private citizens. In her prior order granting the preliminary injunction, U.S. District Judge Jane J. Boyle wrote, "The court grants in part the motion and issues a preliminary injunction as to plaintiffs in this case only, leaving a question as to whether the injunction applied to members of SAF." Well, late yesterday, this was Wednesday, SAF filed a motion to clarify the scope of the injunction, and today Judge Boyle clarified the prior order with a new order in a docket entry which stated the court confirms the preliminary injunction order applies to both the Second Amendment Foundation and its members. I'm going to get to a quote from Adam Kraut. SAF has received numerous inquiries from individuals as to whether the injunction covered our members. Our attorney had attempted to reach an understanding with the government as to the scope of the injunction and coverage of our members when it became apparent the parties were not seeing... Don't look back at the screen, Lathrop. Look at what you're reading. When it became apparent the parties were not seeing eye to eye on the matter, despite the Fifth Circuit's clarification in another case on this exact point, we asked for the clarification. We're pleased to see that Judge Boyle agrees with our interpretation and our members are indeed protected under this injunction. Guys, this is the third injunction. Firearms Policy Coalition, we have one, Firearms Policy Coalition has one, and GOA and the state of Texas have one. So, at least, and all 3 of those reside within the Fifth Circuit, at least within the Fifth Circuit, this thing is dead. D-E-D, dead.
I just got info that there was 4 injunctions, including SAF and GOA. We're doing a thing at GOA on the GOA thing. It's called Texas and GOA versus Garland. They won the preliminary injunction. It covers, it applies to GOA members and GOF supporters, so GOA, GOF supporters. And it's a pretty good thing. It doesn't cover nationwide yet, but these are things that are going to lead to, that are going to create some new precedents, and which would probably lead to some nationwide bans, I would hope. So It's looking good. So as far as I know, Paul, there are 4 that we've won preliminary injunctions. I don't know what the 4th one is, but I was just told by some of the guys at GOA that there was a 4th one.
Okay.
Well, you know what I want to just throw out here is that, yes, I'm a member of a couple of other gun rights organizations, but I heard a rumor, I believe, that there is like such a great deal on a lifetime membership of the SAF, right? Was it something on the order of like $150?
That's exactly right.
Look, once I get past this weekend, I'm going out of town. I got to travel for a couple of days. And once I get geared up for my next class, that first tuition payment I received from a student on my CPL class, I'm sending it in to SAF to get a lifetime membership. So that'll boost the number of lifetime memberships I have in gun rights organizations. So I don't have, I don't own a brace, not trying to buy one. It's just the simple principle of it.
Want to get a couple comments in here. Going back to the discussion of your women's event in July, Rick, we've got Mary on the Facebook side. How does one get involved / sign up as an instructor for this event? Mary, I know you. As soon as the show goes dark, I will invite you into that group that Rick talked about. And for anybody else, search Facebook for the group 2023. What is it?
Organizing team for Ladies Shoot.
There you go.
And look, the more the merrier. I'm actually doing this event at 2 gun ranges on opposite sides of one town known as Taylor, Michigan. It's like 10 minutes outside of Detroit. 2 gun ranges simultaneously, 2 consecutive days. So yeah, I need all hands on deck with regards to firearms trainers and RSOs to help me pull this event off like we've done the prior 11 years.
Well, and there is a inside that once you get inside that group, there is a deal that one of the hotels is running in a town called Romulus, Michigan. The only reason I remember that is because I'm a Star Trek fan. There's a hotel in Romulus, Michigan that is running a deal for rooms for the weekend. So let's see here. You get this
Star
one.
Trek fan, man. Look, I'm a Trekkie too, man. No, which series? The original, the Next Generation?
Yes. Yes. All
Deep Space Nine?
from
Space
the
Nine,
original
and
series all the way through Star Trek Picard. I love them all.
Now, which one was the captain is a woman? Jane.
That was Captain Janeway of
Janeway.
Voyager.
Now,
Yeah.
Voyager. Now, out of all the stars, you said you like them all equally. You know,
I didn't say that. I just said I like them all.
Yeah, I like them all, but I have to say the original series for me was the best.
Now,
I think
Next Generation.
the Empire Strikes Back was definitely my favorite.
Empire Strikes Back. Huh? Okay.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump to our next. And the guys, I don't know about you, but I think this is a major, huge story. This is another press release from SAF, and we've got more press releases yet later in the show. But this next one was just released on Thursday. The Second Amendment Foundation announced today it is enlisting the aid of highly respected Second Amendment veteran strategist Chris Cox and his public policy, public affairs consulting group, Capital 6 Advisors, as we forward in our effort to win firearms freedom one lawsuit at a time. Cox spent 25 years at the NRA, including 18 as executive director of their Institute for Legislative Action, where he served as the NRA's chief political, legislative, and legal strategist. I'm going to just jump down straight to get a couple quotes, one from Adam Kraut, one from Chris Cox. Adam Kraut's quote is, "We're bringing Cap 6 aboard in advisory capacity on a number of different projects. SAF has been the nation's leading force in the Second Amendment litigation world. As we look towards the future, I'm humbled and excited to have another major influence in the Second Amendment sphere, along with his talented team, available as a resource to help me implement my ideas and shape SAF's trajectory for the next 50 years." And then from Chris Cox, "We are excited to work with Adam Kraut and the team at SAF. The Second Amendment faces unprecedented attacks, and America's law-abiding gun owners deserve real and transparent leadership. I'm proud to deploy my decades of experience advancing the cause of freedom alongside a team I respect and trust. SAF's best days are ahead of it, and law-abiding gun owners everywhere depend on it." What I want to say about this one, I'm going to kind of repeat what I did on Friday. It was a blow to NRA when Chris Cox was forced out. I don't know which. I don't care which. It was a loss to the NRA. It's a gain to SAF. I am awesomely excited to have Chris Cox on the team with SAF.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't leave talent on the bench. And we're not. And I think it's awesome because you have somebody that not only does it, he's 2 generations deep in it. So congratulations to everybody involved, actually. It's awesome. I think it's great, especially now that we're just racking up wins and setting up strategies and trying to figure out, well, who do you sue first? What order do you do this? And how do you take these states down? Because in a place like Jersey, we still have magazine limitations. That has to hit. Carry permits, getting permits at all. That doesn't fall in line. You know what I mean? So Bruin opened up a lot of doors. You're just going to have to come up with a strategy that makes sense, that everybody can be on the same page, and we can just whittle this thing back and take us back to pre-NFA, in my opinion. I mean, we lost our rates incrementally, and I think we're going to win them back the same way. And we need a strategist to do it, and I think he's one of the ones that can make that happen.
Amen.
Haven't heard from Chris Cox in a while. I always liked him. I always thought he did a good job, and that's a great thing to have him as part of the group. So, yeah, that's good. And just to piggyback off what Tony just said, this fight, we're doing pretty well right now. We got a lot of wins. This fight, I've come to the conclusion it's never going to really end. So it's important, I think, that we all support all these, all the gun rights organizations, because they're the ones that are actually going to court and fighting these things. Unfortunately, we have to fight them in court. There's no way around it at this point. I wish we didn't. I wish people would just respect the Second Amendment, but that's not the way it is right now. So yeah, supporting national gun rights organizations is important. Everybody's got a state organization. We should all support those as well. And yeah, I'm cheering on Chris Cox.
All right, Rick, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, man. Always glad to hear that we're making some forward progress with regards to, gun rights. I'll keep saying it on every program, man. Not only do we need to support our gun rights organizations, but we need to also do our part at the local level. And yeah, I heard Tony Simon say, lamenting about his state, New Jersey. Well, I'm publicly lamenting about my state here in Michigan, man, because, we had a very bad election cycle, a couple of years ago. And lo and behold, the idiots are beating their chests about getting red flag rammed down our throat with a all left, political bent in the governor's office and the Senate and the House of Representatives. And we also got universal registration, that is, we have to register loan guns, and and you know what? It's not very good right now. And now there's talk of trying to undo our state preemption law on firearms. That's where there's only one set of gun laws that are relevant across the whole entire state. If these knuckleheads get their way, and overturn our preemption law, then it's like every municipality, every neighborhood, every individual city can come up with their own set of gun laws. And yeah, that's what happens when you don't vote, man. And that's the theme I'm on. When you don't vote, you're gonna have bad things happen to you. So yeah, I'm happy for the SAF. I'm happy for all the gun rights organizations that are out there. And yeah, we still have to do our part when it comes to voting and organizing and fighting these people back. Because here in Michigan, we took a hit a couple years ago.
All right, let me get some comments in here. Hit that correct button. Jim Rawls on the Facebook side says, "Hello, everyone. Rick, I have 3 daughters. I appreciate all you do." And then over on the Facebook side, again, Craig DeLuz is viewing live tonight. He says, "Enterprise was the only one that wasn't good," referring to Star Trek series. Enterprise had its moments. But, yeah, Next Generation, you set the bar awful high. And by the time they got to Enterprise and enough people had left, it just, yeah.
And Mr. DeLuz, I'm looking forward to, what? He's running for office. And I want to, throw my support behind him. And as a matter of fact, I owe him a testimonial, just how much that I think the world of him. And if my opinion of him and his expertise and professionalism can convince someone to support his campaign, I'm definitely glad to do that. I hope Mr. DeLuz makes his way to Detroit at the end of the month, and that gratuitous plug was not to get him to come. I do want you to come, but me supporting your campaign, man, had absolutely nothing to do with it.
And like a true politician, he never, ever, ever misses an opportunity to get a plug in for himself, even if he's not on screen. He came back with a comment, CraigDeLuz.com. So, yeah, check that out. It won't be long that I'll have to fill another seat in my rotation of the Bullet during the week because Craig is every other Tuesday. I'm sure once he gets elected to Congress that he's going to go ahead and give that up because what's more important, chatting with me every other Tuesday or, I don't know, helping to forge the future of the nation? You know?
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. National office in California. Hey, go Craig, go.
Yeah. One from, and this is just anonymous Facebook user. I don't get some of the Facebook, I don't get their name. But Facebook user says, if you don't vote, don't complain. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, I vote all the time, and when we take an L, yeah, I'm complaining big time. I've earned the right to complain, but I would rather win and not complain at all. But vote, people, vote.
I do want to get on to our next story, and we're going to have some fun with this. The next two stories, I think we're going to have some fun with, real honestly. Hunter Biden could now find himself in a surprising position at the cutting edge of the fight to strengthen the Second Amendment. The president's son is the target of a Justice Department investigation. Do not look at the screen, Paul. Do not look at the screen. The president's son is the target of a Justice Department investigation scrutinizing his purchase of a gun in 2018, a time when he has said he was regularly using crack cocaine. Of course, federal law bars drug users from owning guns. But the constitutionality of that law, like many other provisions restricting gun ownership, is newly in question after a precedent-rocking decision in the Supreme Court handed down almost a year ago. His lawyers have already told Justice Department officials that if their client is charged with the gun crime, they will challenge the law under the Second Amendment, according to a particular person familiar with the private discussions granted anonymity because they are not authorized to speak publicly. That could turn a case that is already fraught with political consequences into a high-profile showdown over the right to bear arms. Look, I believe it or not, I'm on Hunter's side. I don't care what you put in your body. Your right to defend yourself does not end because at one point you did something that is not that does not harm anybody else.
I think it's just so ironic, that Hunter Biden, of all people, might be viewed as some people as a, a 2A folk hero, His case might be some benefit. It might be of use to us just in general, but,
some of the Supreme Court cases we won, some of the court cases we won are people that you don't want on your side necessarily, but because their cases are helped us out. And this could be another one, regardless of how this goes, is going to help us out. Because either you have someone cold, like he's admitted to violating it, he's admitted to lying on his 4473. Does this mean something? It doesn't mean nothing. Like you can't have it both ways. So I find it should be interesting how this goes out. Will I be surprised if they try to make it go away? Well, it's going to be kind of difficult. I read the comment section sometimes on Twitter, and some people are like, "So what?" And I'm like, "You can't so what this. You can't so what this because this is a question that needs to be answered. Like it just needs to be answered. You got to figure out a way to dance through this."
Yeah.
They might just turn around and just drop the charge and just make it be a non-issue in the wake of Bruin.
I don't think they can. I really until the law is changed, I don't think they can. And this is, to me, this is much bigger than any January 6th stuff. This is a guy that legitimately broke a law that a lot of people are prosecuted for, but only because his daddy happens to sit in the Oval Office, has he not been charged so far? Do I think he... I think they need to treat him like they treat everyone else, is what where I'm trying to go with that. I don't believe ethically that anybody that uses whatever should be charged with felony possession if they haven't committed a felony. But
especially if you're at home, right? You know?
Yeah, the whole thing with him was he bought the gun, and then he got into a argument with his girlfriend, who was his brother's widow, and brother's widow threw the gun in a dumpster, and it was never recovered. And yeah, it very well could be sitting in a gangbanger's jeans right now. Although when they're arrested, these aren't my pants. How did I get these pants?
Yeah, it happens all the time, right?
Never admit guilt. Never, ever admit guilt. Somebody can screw up on the paperwork and you can walk free if you just shut up. That's one of the first things you should learn.
All right. Let me get this comment in
Dan's
here.
take on it. Dan has any thoughts about the president's first son? What?
About Hunter and his drug use? Well,
Yeah.
you know, the way I look at it, first of all, I think Tony might have mentioned it. I think they're just going to drop it. He'll just get off, because if they ever brought this thing, if they ever challenged the actual law, they know that it would affect the entire country in a way that the Democrats don't want it to affect the country. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think you should be penalized your gun use for because you've done drugs or whatever. But I think the Democrats like to have that control over everybody. You know, like here in New York, as soon as the pot was made legal, then there was also this law that said, you know, but you can't own a firearm if you're a registered pot smoker. So, you know, they entrap you. So they like to keep that because they have leverage over the population. I think the easiest thing for the Democrats, and I think the DOJ will probably go along, that is to just let Hunter off the hook and be done with the whole thing. And I believe that's probably what's going to happen. I don't want it to happen that way, but I think that's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah, but didn't we just hear Paul say a few seconds ago this through some type of technicality or what the way the law works that they can't not charge him? I mean,
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
But I think the Democrats I think they always find a way around that stuff. I mean, isn't it kind of obvious? You know, they'll always find a way. Paul is an ethical guy. Paul is a moral guy, and he's going on I'm not. Hey, Paul, these guys are being sarcastic, not me.
I can't remember which one it was, whether it's Menendez or whether it's Cory Booker. But one of them, I think it had to be Menendez. What had happened was Frank Lautenberg dropped dead. Well, he died well after the cutoff point for the Democrats to nominate someone for the Senate seat in New Jersey, like well after. So it's in black and white. Democrats couldn't put anybody up. They changed the law to allow them to run someone against the Republican in the election. And of course, I can't remember which one it was it Menendez or Booker, but that's how they got that seat. Because according to the law, they shouldn't have been able to run anyone. And the Democrats actually changed the law. So I put nothing past them to do something to allow Hunter to get away with what he did, or get away with not charging him, excuse me. So yeah, they have something bigger at stake. Their civilian disarmament agenda takes precedent over what you think of them. And of course, they have voices out there, their media out there that will poo-poo this whole thing and make it seem like nothing. Of course, I mean, they poo-pooed the whole thing about anything about that family. So yeah. It is what it is, but they're going to poop the floor. It's going to be cleaned up, and there's no reason for our side not to talk about the poop in the floor.
Let me get a comment in here real quick. Big John 410 is correcting me, and thank you, Big John 410. The gun was recovered by a dumpster driver and turned in. So yeah, apparently it's not in the pants of a gangbanger somewhere in Delaware. Let's see here, and let me get this one in here real quick. Sisters in Arms, a firearm story. That's Carrie Ann Auclair. She helps me out on Mondays on Polite Society. She says Hunter has money, and his money will silence his guilt. Sad. I think what Carrie Ann is doing there is she's channeling her inner Donald Trump, because the end of that sounds like Donald Trump. His money will silence his guilt. Sad. That sounds like something Trump would tweet. And she also says, speaking to the stuff on the floor, carefully where you step. Anyway, I want to get to our next story, which is directly related. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre refused to answer a question Friday related to Hunter Biden's previous drug use and reported plans to use the Second Amendment as a defense should he be charged with a gun crime. When asked during the White House press briefing whether someone who is a drug user should be able to possess a firearm, Jean-Pierre simply said, "I'm not going to get into a tit for tat on this. I'm just not going to." Hunter, a known past drug user, has battled drug abuse and addiction, has been under investigation, yada, yada, yada. So, it's almost like the White House is throwing him under the bus too. Just
I don't know, throwing him under the bus or just ignoring it, flat out ignoring it and telling you to look the other way. There's nothing to see here. I find that to be more accurate, and I find it more disturbing that the president's very own son, an alleged abuser of drugs, is facing a very serious charge under current law and interpretation, and they're just going to ignore it and tell you not to look and don't pay attention and to move along because there's nothing to see. I find that appalling.
See, here's something that go ahead.
I was just going to say, they learned that from the Clinton administration with "there is no there." That's where that came from. Dan, go.
No, this is what I'm seeing in this statement. It says they asked whether someone who is a drug user should be able to possess a firearm. I think this question was almost kind of to catch her hypocrisy, right? So when typically the press secretary and any of those Democrats over there would say, well, yeah, if you're using drugs, you shouldn't be able to possess a firearm, because they'll use any excuse for you not to be able to possess a firearm. But this question was asked, should someone who is a drug user be able to possess a firearm, because knowingly that Hunter did it. So I think this question was kind of a trap to get her to contradict her normal position, and I think that's why she said she's not going to get into it, because she couldn't get into it. One way or the other, she's going to be found as a hypocrite. If someone is doing drugs and she believes they shouldn't own a firearm, but when it's Hunter, it's a different story. That's all I think the statement was. It was just to catch her in a hypocritical moment.
I got to get that full screen.
She says she does not mind being a hypocrite. It does not bother her at all. Her mentor says you can say what you want. If nobody remembers Baghdad Bob here, he was talking about when you were hearing gunfire in Baghdad of us coming into the country, into the city. He was like, that's the sounds of us killing Americans. So, yeah, she has no problem being a hypocrite. Don't get caught up in it, dude. We're not going to catch her. She's a professional at this.
For those who may not be old enough, and I'm dating us all on this, but for those of us who may not be old enough to remember Baghdad Bob, when the tanks were rolling into Baghdad, and you could see American tanks on camera behind this guy, there are no Americans here. We're kicking their butts. There are no Americans here, and you can see American tanks driving behind the guy.
Yep, and that's her.
That was an appropriate reference, man, because you know what? to the people who are, Biden loyalists, they'll tell you, hey, there's no there. There's nothing to see. Keep it moving, and let's go on to the next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who really just will eat it all up no matter what they say. So I think those are the people they're speaking to. It doesn't matter what they say because their supporters, the left-wing supporters, are always going to go along with it. Either that or they're just not going to say anything to contradict them. So, yeah, this press secretary is probably the worst that definitely the worst that I've ever seen in my life. She's not very good at it, and it's constant lying. At least if you're gonna lie, at least try to make it look true. She doesn't even true.
Yeah, actually, I'm to the point now. The bar is so low, you don't even have to try. Just say what you want. Just say what you want.
So you think anyone that watches these press conferences from Ms. Jean-Pierre, they already know pretty much that everything she says is a lie and shouldn't be believed, so she doesn't even have to put forth a good effort like she's trying to defend the administration's policies?
If you want to make your head explode, read the comment sections in Twitter when people jump on something they say, and you will hear what she really meant to say was, and they will knit and create a web of bullcrap and do some mental gymnastics that would throw your back out just watching it, and they would do it regardless. And I mean, there's the 92 Dream Team called The View, and all you have to do is watch that show, and they will make up excuses for this lady. So it makes no difference, dude. You can say what you want. They'll say it's not important. At the same time, we have to do something about the gun violence problem. But when the president's son, who admits to being on crack, purchases a gun, you don't want to enforce that law. But we need more laws on the books to stop gun violence.
Yeah. Guys, I want to pose one question here real quick. Let me get to a comment first. Then I'm gonna pose this question. Comment is this: CNT Designs and Arms says listening to the press secretary is like reading Chat GPT defending gun control. It's just the same old stuff over and over and over again, mixed a little differently and shoved at you. The question I want to pose, guys, is this: the question came out in the press room, and the press is generally in the pocket of the Biden administration, of the Democrats. Is this positive news that the question even came out, or is the press starting to come around?
Well, who asked the question? Do we know?
It doesn't say in the press reports. No.
I mean, they still have a job to do. I mean, are we so jaded that we think that they're not even trying to do their job? I mean, I think the American public, or at least the people who see things the way we do, we know that they're pretty much shilling for the administration anyway. But the fact that you might be seeing some pushback from their, homegrown, tailored media, it's rather refreshing to see, but I don't think that we should expect any hard-hitting journalism, to really try to take them down on any misinformation that they're publishing.
Yeah, I don't expect... go ahead.
Let me clarify. I don't think this is an attack on Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever her name is. I think this is more kind of an attack on Biden himself. Now, I believe that they're really starting to look at other candidates. I mean, this might be a question to kind of start to bring out the corruption of Biden, of Hunter, and possibly tarnish Biden. I mean, what do you think? I mean, are they still going to stand with Biden through another election process? I think they're done with him. Tell you the truth, this might be the start of it. Who knows?
It could be this. It could be that. It could be them slowly cutting him loose and using this as one of the ways to do it, to undercut him. It also could be them betting on both sides. trying to make it look like, yes, we're still oppressed, we still have a job to do, we aren't sellouts. Look, we ask the tough questions. But meanwhile, not really, because the whole thing could be like poo-pooed. Remember, just not talking about it makes it go away eventually. I mean, it will just go away eventually if you don't even speak of it. Because that's how the American people are. Or show them something else shiny. I mean, that's all you have to do is show them something else shiny.
Yes.
You know, as I look at some of the news media events, like the president fell the other day, right? And you know, if you truly believe that he is truly suffering dementia, or he's, you know, really fading, you know, mentally because of, you know, he's getting up there in age, and it really, you know, and God, I don't want to seem like an apologist, but in a way, it really seems cruel what they're doing to him, because he obviously, in my opinion, you know, shouldn't be president. I mean, I just don't think that he's there. I don't think he's capable. He's mentally fit. But
I mean,
you know,
think about it. His family is pushing him into. I mean, any normal family would say, "Look, pops, you're a little old. You're having some issues. This is not your gig. It's time for you to get out of there." But his own family is keeping him there, which is, to me, is torture. It must be torture on him. Not that I care, but it must be for any person. That's got to be tough, being in that physical and mental condition and having your own family continue to push you into this job. I don't know. He should be sitting in the garden with sipping tea with a warm blanket over his lap. I mean, this guy is not fit. You know.
Okay.
You know.
I won't have you talk about my president that way. He needs.
Well, yours, not mine. Yours.
He understands something. I need him back again. I need to vote for Biden in 2024 so I can be black again. And you guys, I mean, I have to get my black card back. And if he doesn't run, I'll have to just be the white guy that I am. And I really don't appreciate that.
Right.
If you voted for Trump, Tony, you ain't black.
What's the quote? If you don't vote for me, you're racist.
You ain't black. No. He said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And I'm mad because I got all the music, I got the food, I got the clothes. I mean, I have all the black stuff, and I haven't been able to use it in 2 years now. It's quite upsetting.
What did you do, Tony? What'd you do with all your black stuff? What did you do? Put it in the closet?
It's in the closet. Yeah, I had to lock it up, man. I mean, I had to go buy Dockers. I had to find them in my size. It really sucked.
Yeah, you know those Justin Bieber CDs, dude.
You know what? In all sincerity and seriousness, when he actually said that, I was personally offended. I really was. I mean, like, who are you to tell me, a black person, that I'm not black because I don't want to vote for you? I mean, it's really raw, really. And he could say something.
It's just a statement to gain leverage over people who don't know any better. Because look, if black people who were not offended, but were worried that they wouldn't be part of Biden's, you know, popular table, they would go along with it. So in other words, if you ain't black, if you voted for Trump, you ain't black. Well, geez, I'm black. I better vote for Biden. It's really just aimed at weak people, weak-minded people who can't think for themselves. You guys obviously can, but I bet you there's a lot of people out there who said, "Oh boy, I better vote for Biden because otherwise, you know, I'm not going to be part of the black." Right, exactly. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
They didn't tell me where I had to go to return all the NWA CDs. I had no idea what to do with all this black stuff that I still have. I mean, look, like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this now?
I put that beep on everything. Exactly.
Right.
I used to.
All right.
Wow.
I got one more story I want to get to tonight, and that this is a New Jersey story, Tony. So Second Amendment Foundation and its partners in a legal challenge of New Jersey's sensitive places concealed carry statute have filed a response to the state's motion for a stay in the Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The case is now known as Coons versus Platkin. Second Amendment Foundation is joined by Firearms Policy Coalition, CNJFO, NJ2AS, and 4 private citizens. Earlier this month, U.S. District Judge Renee Marie Bum granted a preliminary injunction, and the state filed a motion to stay the order pending appeal. Excuse me. Alan Gottlieb, our executive vice president, said the state is struggling with all its might in a stubborn effort to retain a literal stranglehold on the rights of New Jersey citizens. We're challenging the ban on legal carry in parks, on beaches, at recreation facilities, publicly owned museums and libraries, bars and restaurants where alcohol is served, entertainment facilities, airports, public transportation hubs, and the presumptive ban on private property. And then this one from, see here, there is no established historical tradition that could justify restrictions included in the new law. New Jersey simply cannot criminalize licensed concealed carry virtually everywhere in the state by designating everything as a sensitive area, nor should it be allowed to continue enforcing these registrations pending appeal. And then this one from Adam Kraut, our executive director. The state is burdened with showing the carry restrictions are consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearms regulation, and we don't see how that is possible. The state has not provided any evidence of founding area restrictions like it wants to enforce today, and is essentially trying to stall the inevitable for as long as possible. Not a huge... I mean, this is procedural, but it's a good answer, and I honestly believe in the fullness of time the Third Circuit is going to trash this thing. Bums going to find on our behalf, and when it goes on to the Third Circuit, they're going to find on our behalf, but it's certainly not set in stone. Tony, you are our New Jersey guy today. What do you think, man?
We all know it's going to get crushed. All right, they're never going to stop doing this. They knew it when they talked. If you listen to some of the judge even pointed it out last time that New Jersey did not even bother reading the Bruin decision. One of the councilmen, I think his name is Danielson, Jerkoff. Danielson said he didn't even bother reading it. So they know they're going to lose. This is going to be an epic loss, and they're going to keep fighting and use our tax dollars to do it. They can't win. New Jersey has been so used to just saying any bull crap and getting a W out of it. Well, that's over now. That's over. All it takes, they tried to delay. They came up with excuses. Even Judge Bum actually kind of yelled at them to get their stuff together before they come back. So, yeah, they're going to lose. I can't wait for it, but they will have other stupid legislation following right after this one.
Yeah, we're going to end up, it's going to be whack-a-mole for a good long time. We're going to whack down laws. They're going to create laws that are just that much less oppressive than the law that got whacked down. They're going to have to whack that one down.
You know, this is the same exact thing that happened in New York. Jersey's just copying New York. And so we had the CCIA come out, the concealed carry. You know, after the Bruin case, Hochul had this Concealed Carry Improvement Act package all ready to go. It's the same thing with all these sensitive locations and all this nonsense. And all they did, California did the same thing, Jersey did the same thing. They just picked up the same process that's happening in New York. And we've already had now in New York 4 state Supreme Court judges have knocked it down, saying it's unconstitutional, maybe 4 or 5. And it's the same thing is going to happen in Jersey. So, but what happens is it takes a long time to get it through the appeals process and all that stuff. So these laws are technically in place, and Jersey can plan on it being in place, whether they like it or not, whether it gets shot down or not, because it's going to take a while to appeal and all that stuff. So Tony and I essentially are in the same exact situation with respect to this stuff. It's the same thing. They're just playing the long game, and they're just trying to disrupt gun owners for as long as they possibly can.
Now, what I think is going to happen is the more you put it in front of the Supreme Court right now under the Bruin, the stricter it's going. I think they're just going to keep losing to the point that the Supreme Court. This is what I over. They're gonna be even more explicit and more explicit, and you're just making it.
Are we getting to the NWA album level of explicit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how can it not be? Because Bruin, I mean, the Bruin decision it was put out there, and New York and New Jersey, who of course our governor has never had an original thought in his head. So he copies everything the New York governor does, regardless of who the New York governor is. They're going to make it so. I just think they're making it worse for themselves, and they think they're being smart about it. And I think it's just going to get crushed. They're going to cause gun control to kill itself.
And the one good thing that we have, the really good thing that we have out of that Bruin case, and everybody is sharing in the benefits of it, is that little piece called historical tradition. Mm-hmm. That's being used in court cases all over the country, and judges are looking at it and going, yeah, makes sense. So historical tradition, that was a gift. And Judge Clarence Thomas, he really gave us a gift there.
All right, guys, we are getting very close to the end of our time here. I'm going to go in reverse order from where I started. Dan, I want to start with you. We got to get out of here. Tell us about, it's right here, the book series, Good Gun, Bad Guy. Tell us about the book series, where we can get it, and anything else you want to plug, man.
3 books in the series right now. Working on number 4. You can see them over my shoulder over here. Good Gun, Bad Guy, Good Gun, Bad Guy 2, and Good Gun, Bad Guy 3. Great response from these books. Everyone's loving them, and so I just suggest everybody check it out. It talks about the anti-gun mindset and how we can understand their strategies and tactics and defeat them. So it's goodgunbadguy.com.
All right, very cool. And I gotta say, man, you need to audition to be a weatherman. The way you pointed at those books, you know, there's a low pressure system here. It's gonna meander its way over this. Yeah, you need to be a weatherman. Tony, you're up next, man. What do you want to plug today?
The Diversity Shoot, diversityshoot.com. Please go on there. Our next event is June 15th at the Union Hill Gun Club. Can't wait. We introduce all people, regardless of race, gender, religion, or any other divisive category they try to split Americans into. We introduce them to the Second Amendment. We introduce them to Second Amendment advocacy groups. We introduce them to firearm safety. We go shoot cool guns. We eat freaking awesome pizza. And we have a good time. So diversityshoot.com to buy your ticket through Eventbrite, or go to Eventbrite directly. Follow me. I'm on Simon Says Train on IG, Simon Says Train on Facebook, and the second is for everyone on Facebook. Also, I have the podcast 2A4E podcast, should be coming out tomorrow.
Very, very cool. Rick, I would ask what you want to plug, but I'm pretty sure I know.
I'm a one-trick pony, man. Look, my objective is to stay on point, stay on target. I'm only talking about one thing, right? The 2023 legally armed in Detroit free women's shoot that's going to happen in metropolitan Detroit. It's going to be on the last weekend of July, July 29th and the 30th. I'm calling upon firearms trainers, range safety officers to descend upon Taylor, Michigan to help me train at least 1,500 women, however you define it. If you're a woman, show up. We're going to train you. We take care of everything: target, ammunition, access to guns, hearing protection, safety glasses, and smiles of helpful staff and range safety officers to safely introduce you to the art and science of shooting.
All right, very cool. On my part, that ends our broadcast week. And I want to thank everybody for watching, everybody for commenting. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening. Please do come join me Monday through Friday next week, 6 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters, despite what my panel thinks this week. 6 p.m. Central Time, all week, Monday through Friday. Come join me. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you